Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now sometimes there are such things as nice coincidences in life, and ever since I did my mutant top 15 ranking and I actually ended up ranking up bishop very high, there were quite a few people requesting me to do a bishop showcase and gameplay video explaining why I think he's so good and so on and so forth. And not long ago, Ankit, who is a moderator on my channel, took his bishop up to rank 4 and pieced together an amazing showcase. So definitely go check out Ankit's channel as well. He has some very interesting rank ups, very good player. We'll leave a link to his video description below. And alternatively, if you do have some unique rank ups or interesting gameplay that you want to forward to me, you can easily reach out to me via Evzone. Just tap on try it out for free, enter your username, email, hit me up, and you can send over some of your gameplay as well to be reviewed or possibly showcased in a video. Right, so rather than using my rank 3 bishop, he has a rank 4, and that's obviously going to be more interesting. And he also has a very well edited video together that I am going to be going through with you guys. So the first one is basically a difference in between bishop with liquid courage, without liquid courage. And the thing with bishop is that if you are not running liquid courage double edge, you want to have either Storm, Pyramid X, or MCOC synergy with him at the very least. But ideally, obviously, to get the max results with bishop, you do want to be running liquid courage double edge, and he handles them really well because you can purify that bleed at the very beginning of the fight. Then if need be, you can get some small regions, even though those are not the most potent ones. But just the fact that you're not necessarily going to be spamming many specials throughout the fight, plus the fact that you can purify the bleed, kind of works out. So here is also the showcase of the fact that, yeah, bishop is obviously much better off with liquid courage double edge active. Without it, he still has good damage. It just isn't crazy damage, because throughout this video we're gonna see some crazy good damage. There isn't that much of a difference, again, if you're running a synergy team including MCOC and Storm Pyramid X. But if you don't have any synergies, then liquid courage double edge shows up quite significantly here. So he's also running Nick Fury Deadpool synergy here, just to kind of like help him heal as he goes through the quests. Obviously not absolutely mandatory at all. He's just going to showcase a fairly straightforward Winter Soldier fight. I also think I have music in background. I guess I will just leave it. I forgot to switch it off. My bad. Okay, so now we are back to it. So now we can see a fairly massive level 2 in the very first fight. And this is without the extra damage he can get if you finish fight with 2 bars of power. So after a single level 2, that Winter Soldier already ended up being at like 43% health or something. And obviously the second Incinerate is basically going to finish it off. Now, Bishop obviously has a very unique awakened ability, which gives him additional powers based on what power level you have at the end of the last fight. You virtually always want to finish all of your fights with 1 to 2 bars of power transferred, basically. If you finish with 1 till 1.9 bars of power, you get extra utility, which we're going to have a very good showcase later on. If you finish from 2 to 2.9 bars of power, you get quite significant extra damage boost on Bishop, especially if he's relatively high save. And here we're going to see another like nuke against that Captain Marvel. So he has 29 prowess, is 40 prowess here. 39, use his special attack. None of those hits crit, but it doesn't even matter. Bishop doesn't have the greatest crit chance or rate, but even if none of those hits crit, you can easily do your special attacks for like 200k total amount of damage there, and that's with like no crits. And obviously if you do happen to get a crit, then the Incinerate's more potent, and overall damage grows significantly. Now this one I think is going to be Bishop basically roided up to the max. Liquid courage double edge, Horseman of Apocalypse, if I'm not mistaken, Professor X as well. So in this fight, Bishop is gonna do about as much damage as he can do. So here he's at 38 prowess as well, so he's getting a nice 40 prowess, 42, bang, 1 level 2. That's a single level 2, and that's a 16k Incinerates there. It's because of, again, finishing the previous fight with 2 bars of power. He gets additional Incinerate, and yeah, that was basically over with 1 level 2, 16 hits. And this is going to be another fight against Realm of Legends Wolverine, where the entire fight is 1 level 2. 1 level 2, and Wolverine 350 some health is just gone with that 14k incinerate. You can see 4 hits, no more Wolverine. So clearly the man has plenty of damage. And this is, I believe, a safeguard lane. He's going to make some mistakes here. But the fact is that Bishop also can obviously inflict damage over time effects. Now here, Paradox ability does make them become more potent. But there are many sneaky applications of Bishop's ability to inflict multitudes of incinerates on opponent as you are attacking. So number one is obviously it does help you get around safeguard, which is quite neat, especially if there are some other damage amplifying factors, so to speak. But often there is value in just having, for instance, 3 debuffs on opponent in order to bypass this track and things like that. And then the incinerate itself has a fairly unique properties for some nodes like stunning reflection, which you're going to be able to see later on as well. So ultimately, it's not that he's just a level 2 champion, that level 1 can put in work. And especially if you're going up against some skilled champions with very potent shrug off abilities, you can gain a ton of extra damage thanks to your level 1s by having them purify those incinerates and then them have basically explode. Then he basically can turn his incinerates into a form of frostbite, in a sense. So I don't quite recall this fight, but we do have to skip past a few fights here. So I believe this node had some increased special attack damage here as well. So obviously he's doing a ton of damage. Most of these are just pure on damage showcases. This one I will leave though. So this is a power shield node. Obviously Bishop with his A synergies to always start, you know, every fight with some power left over, or his awaken ability. And then the fact that so much of his damage is in his special attacks is an amazing power shield option. He's just gonna nuke everything that has to do with power shield. And here again, you start with 3 bars of power with no promise. Obviously this level 3 isn't going to do all that much damage, but you do get that energy vulnerability, which can be somewhat helpful at times as well. And here you can see that he just needs to get to his level 2. He has like 13 prowesses here only. Here he tried to parry that level 2, unfortunately, and ended up eating it to the face. But he goes for his level 2, and obviously the level 2 finishes the job. And again, and again, and again, basically all of them get nuked down with power shield. This is one of the coolest things though. There is that blaze path, and I think 7.1. It's been quite a long time since I have done that fight, but basically you get about 1000% increase in your special attack damage. That's also like the only way you can do damage to your opponents, but obviously you degen along the way. Well, Bishop is probably the stupidest thing that I have seen for this, because obviously you're going to be starting the fight with your special already ready, with like your 2 bars of power. So this is like plus 1000 special attack damage, right? So at this point he initially keeps building up some of his prowesses, but that's not necessary. We can see that he is going to be here at like his 33 prowess, and it's just way overkill. And then later on, he's going to realize that he doesn't have to do it. 1 parry and a special attack, and the job's done. 1 parry, special attack, and the job is done. And he can do that entire lane in like 2 minutes. You know, every fight's like 2-3 seconds. There's that blaze lane. And here he, you know, didn't quite finish off that job, fix it, but obviously Incinerate did. So now he has a quick montage of him throwing level 2s at Realm of Legends champions, which obviously, again, just showcase Bishop kind of. But now we need to go into his utility showcase. And the first bit that he's going to be showing here... Okay, fine. First bit that we are going to see right now is going to be Bishop's increased energy resistance. That does come in play quite often. It's one of the reasons why, you know, Nimrod doesn't do that much damage against Bishop. And it's one of the reasons why so many champions that typically ought to be good counters for Bishop really aren't. So he's downstairs using a champion as a Doom, Dr. Doom as an example. Not, you know, to compare exactly how Doom does in this fight, but basically to show that how much limbo damage Doom is taking and how long Doom can last as a 3-star against a 5-star magic. And we can see that by the time Doom has done 10% of damage, within 30 seconds, the Doom is dead. And the bishop is still going on here. And obviously, if he wanted to somewhat slow play this, he could have, you know, tried to regen some more as well. And potentially actually defeat that magic. I'm just saying. But even with all of that, taking all of that limbo damage here, and still surviving significantly longer. And that means in more or less realistic conditions, you can easily use bishop against ton of energy damage nodes because he has like 4,000 plus increased energy resistance, so he takes significantly less damage from shock, from cold snap, from incinerates, from magic, from all of these energy type champions. Also, many mystic champions will hardly be doing any damage against him at all because a lot of them do energy damage instead of physical damage and base hits. And obviously, if you have huge energy resistance, that also comes into play there. So this fight, he's showcasing the same energy resistance against EMP modification. And we're going to see that he basically, you know, has no problems. It doesn't take any damage. In the next fight, he's going to show it even better, where it's going to be up against Nightcrawler, where he just brings in it against EMP. He's going to start triggering his regens on purpose, just to give Nightcrawler some more of those EMP charges. And you can see you have 8 EMP charges detonated, and he's hardly losing any health. If he really wanted to, he held his block, got his regens up, and at that point, you're basically losing nothing. Because EMP doesn't really do enough with those passive shocks to matter to Bishop. So that is just the beginning of his utilities, though. So we're going to go on to the next fight. And next is going to be Bishop, yet again, showing his energy resistance against all these energy adoption nodes. Now, here Bishop is kind of like a mixed bag. There are obviously 100% quicker options and, you know, also questionably more effective champions. The problem in these matchups Bishop has is when you have this many shock or cold snap debuffs, he loses his prowess very quickly. However, he also basically becomes a little void in a sense that whilst he is losing this prowess because of the bleed, shock, or cold snaps, you can see that every time he has prowess, Ronan is taking some damage over time by consuming those prowesses. And meanwhile, obviously, Bishop is just regenerating to full virtually always. So he is an option to any path where like energy adoption lanes are involved. Obviously, we do have Ghost, we do have Kingpin and Silver Surfer who can do these lanes better. And that is, you know, truth. However, if you do need any of the specific Bishop attributes, he's there and he's perfectly capable of handling these fights as well. And this is going to be the variant for the Moon Knight variant, Electro, which is going to be just a stupid fight because you can see how many prowess he's going to get here. And it's pretty much a perfect matchup here as it turns out because of all that energy damage that you're taking. And you can see it here in a second. So this is that variant for Electro boss. So you have 60 prowesses, 1 level 2, and job's done. Sweet Mary. There we go. And now just again showcase on Act 6.3 or 6.4 path where Captain Marvel boss. Now this is Bubble Shield and Distract and Energy Adoption Lightning. So this was one of the kind of trickier lanes with very few good counters. So, well, first of all, Bishop can do this lane as well because, obviously, when you activate your level 1, you can easily get 3 to 4 incinerates on opponent, thus you are able to do damage. Second, because of Energy Adoption Lightning, sorry, Energy Adoption Cold, or Ice, or whatever it's called, you consistently regenerate. But there's going to be another trick, which is going to be something that we're going to be taking a closer look for a prolonged period after this fight. So, most notably the fact that this lane has Bubble Shield. And one of Bishop's abilities is that if you do finish the fight with 1 to 1.9 bars of power, whilst blocking, you reduce opponent's ability accuracy by 80% or up to 80% based on your SIG level, and also become stun immune. So you can see that he's going to be taking several hits of Sentinel in a block, but Bubble Shield is not even triggering. That's right, Bishop actually has very potent ability accuracy reduction abilities that you can access from the second quest onwards in a fight, where basically you just need to make sure that you finish your fights in between 1 to 2 bars of power, and then whenever you're blocking, you're stun immune, able to bypass stuff like encroaching stun and so forth, able to bypass stunning reflection, and also you reduce opponent's ability accuracy and the node ability accuracy by up to 80%, which is a very significant amount. It's more potent than Magneto's ability accuracy reduction against metal champions, for instance. So here, it clearly works against Bubble Shield. We can see that there are only like 2 Bubble Shield charges despite of how many hits he has taken in the block. And that ability accuracy reduction has insane amount of applications. For instance, this node has Hard Knock Life. Hard Knock Life is one of the most hated nodes in the game, where every time you parry, you get a disorient, which means your next parries can fail, and you have increased block damage and all that other stuff. Well, guess what? Check out how many parries he's gonna be able to do before a single disorient applies. So, as it turns out, Bishop's actually pretty hardcore counter to Hard Knock Life, which I personally hadn't thought of before, but it's fairly rare ability to counter that node. Like, we have the Proximo, we have Captain America Sam, we have APOC who can go disorient immune, and then we have like Cersei who can switch on her glancing and also do that, and a couple more champions. But this one, for instance, is absolutely beautiful solution to it as well that I had never thought before. In this one, he's basically doing the same, just checking how many hits he can take on block without triggering that Hard Knock Life. We can see that one somewhere along the way triggered then. Obviously, the fact that you can trigger Hard Knock Life with that ability also means that you can trigger stuff like kinetic transference. So I can see that he got a hit in a block and Cap didn't get any power. Now this time around he did. Obviously it's not guaranteed, it's up to 80%. But that means that effectively 4 out of 5 hits will not, give opponents power, which is more than good enough to make kinetic transference much more into a regular fight, basically, where you do not really need to be careful of how many hits in your block you take. And very interesting, very unique solution to kinetic transference, as we can see here. He's going to finish off this fight, and now this is a Masochism lane, where again, Bishop, as long as you finish the previous fight in between 1 to 1.9 bars of power, can bypass Masochism very easily. So you can see that, well, right here. So now that Masochism timer, well, here he triggered Masochism like a silly cow himself. But the point is that, yes, just like it works against kinetic transference, just like it works against Hard Knock Life, it also works against Masochism, which is quite cool. So you can see here that Masochism should be triggering, but it isn't. Very easy, very straightforward. We can see that, yeah, no regen there, no Masochism triggers. Simple and straightforward. So moving on to the next fight, next example. And this is going to be, is this Masochism again, or is it different node? I think this is Masochism. So just as a showcase again, that once in a while it will trigger. And even if it does, your burst damage that you penalize your opponents for purifying your buffs will obviously offset some of that healing. And if you're doing it against skill champions, then they're going to be passively stunned anyways. But yeah, even against any other opponent other than skill, you can bypass it up to 80% of the time. Moving on against the Spidey, and what? Oh, was it? Trying to remember which node was this? There's also, oh, this is like water, float like water, whatever. Whenever opponent is inflicted with an undamaging debuff, they're meant to go unblockable every single time. So we can see that he landed multiple parries before that, and Spidey did not go unblockable. And now again, he's parrying and doing this fight basically like normal. And out of all of these parries, Spidey has gone unblockable only 2 times. And obviously when it is such a rare occurrence, in a contrast, you can easily wait it out and you don't have to stress about it much. So again, parry, and Spidey does not go unblockable, which is quite neat. And now he's going to go for level 1. And job's done. Right. Which one is going to be the next node? Oh, that's the War Machine as well. War Machine's actually bugged at the moment in game. But War Machine's level 1, whenever you inflict your suppression debuff, you're meant to purify 1 prowess. Apparently, War Machine purifies all of them. So that's kind of annoying for this fight. But also, that ability accuracy reduction against War Machine obviously is quite nice because you do hardly get any suppressions. But the main thing in this fight is, you probably didn't notice, but this fight had stunning reflection. As you can see by that blue icon, whenever you parry Jane Foster, you're gonna bypass the stunning reflection node 4 out of 5 times. Even if you don't bypass it, Bishop is stun immune, so you're still not gonna get stunned. And then the third solution for stunning reflection, Bishop has Incinerate, which puts stunning reflection in cooldown. So it is quite cool how he has 3 different ways to interact with node. So when you parry, you have up to 80% chance not to trigger stunning reflection in the first place. If you trigger stunning reflection, it's not a big deal because whilst you are parrying, you are stun immune, so nothing bad happens anyway. And then if you happen to incinerate your opponents, then, you know, stunning reflection is on the cooldown either way. I did think this was one of the cooler interactions he has there. And then obviously we have selective time stream, which Bishop can do because he has access to incinerate. That's not such a, you know, huge deal. And now we have persistent pressure, which is Bishop's kind of forte. One of the more annoying nodes that we see spammed in tons of places, including Alliance Quest and so on and so forth, where opponents go unstoppable on timed intervals, but the duration that they go unstoppable for is reduced based on the amount of prowess you have. If you get to 10 prowess, they just don't go unstoppable, and it's very easy life. And obviously Bishop gets like a whole bunch of prowess just by parrying the opponent, and is arguably the easiest champion to quite literally ignore all of that pressure node altogether and basically make sure that they never really go unstoppable. So it's super easy job right there. Another thing is Yellow Jacket. Obviously, if you do happen to hit by Yellow Jacket's special ones, you can just hold block at a time that they would expire, and you're not gonna get stunned, like a perfect showcase here. You can just hold thy block, and you will not get stunned because you go stun immune. Again, for majority of this utility, you need to be able to finish the fights in between 1 to 2 bars of power. But there we saw that, yeah, absolutely no stun. He does have some interesting interactions with Hulkling as well, where Hulkling was meant to go unblockable. And then obviously we have to deal with this. And then some of the kind of funniest things is Black Panther Civil War. You know, where's the stunning reflection? Again, it's the same interaction basically as it is with stunning reflection. So whenever Black Panther Civil War would shrug off your stun, first of all, he gets passively stunned himself. Second of all, you're stun immune, so you don't really care about it. There are quite few opponents such as this. But that is pretty much it for the Bishop here. That is why I personally think Bishop is an amazing champion. Extremely underrated because his ability accuracy reduction potency is significantly underrated, and how easy it is to apply it. We all kind of gushed about the idea that Proxima ignores all these nodes whenever you block, and then when Captain America Sam came, you know, it's awesome, you can bypass so many nodes and so on and so forth, and Bishop can do much of that just as effective, if not more effective, by himself as well. Obviously there's plenty of damage, plenty of energy resistance, access to debuffs, versatility in playstyle, a head start in many fights by being able to start with already stored amounts of power. And ultimately, again, I do think he has tons of story mode applications. I do think he's one of the Battlegrounds MVPs in every single aspect and every single meta virtually. And obviously we know that he's extremely potent Alliance War defender. He's also actually quite capable Alliance War attacker. I just don't think that people have kind of caught up as much with that. And then he also has many AQ lanes that he's one of the best option. Either way, that's why Bishop's awesome. Let me know what you guys think about this showcase. Do not forget to check out Evzone if you do want to send over your own gameplay as well and reach out to me. Super easy to find me on Evzone. My email for Evzone is also in the video description. And check out Ankit's channel. I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the